Justin Gaethje found himself a new opponent. Arman Tsarukyan takes some shots at Dan Hooker. And Silva versus Bryce Mitchell is set in stone. That and so much more UFC news. Let's just dive into it. Dan Hooker had to pull out of his fight with Justin Gaethje at UFC 313 because he fractured his hand. However, many fighters stepped up to the plate to try to replace Dan Hooker and fight Justin Gaethje on short notice. A lot of fighters were trying to fight Justin Gaethje. However, the fighter to officially replace Dan Hooker will be Rafael Fiziev. Justin Gaethje chimed in on Twitter to explain the situation. He said Arman and Charles understandably said no. Max and Dustin understandably said no. Moicano got the call and said no. Props to Fiziev for volunteering to fly across the world and take this fight. Big risk here for me taking this rematch against an elite striker. From initial reports, it sounded like a lot of fighters were calling in to try to fight Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje refutes that fact. Arman, Charles, Max, Dustin, and Moicano all said no. Fiziev is the only one that said yes. Arman Tsarukyan wanted to clear his name. He tweeted, "I didn't say no. I accepted immediately and asked for a 160-pound catch weight 11 days out from weigh-ins. UFC said that wasn't an option." You know, Arman had trouble making weight against Islam Makhachev with a full fight camp, so I'm sure on 11 days notice he couldn't make lightweight, so that makes a lot of sense. Justin Gaethje has all the advantage in the world. He schooled Fiziev, had all the momentum towards the end of the later rounds, and he's coming in with the full fight camp. However, Fiziev looks pretty ready. Let's take a look at this video he just posted.
Justin! Are you ready, bro? 2, 1. Who are you? Woo! Very good day in the office. And a Saturday, very good day in the kitchen.
Next up, Arman Tsarukyan claps back at Dan Hooker. So Arman is busy online. He's firing shots back at Justin Gaethje, now at Dan Hooker. He said karma doesn't miss. Big mouth, glass hands, maybe just stick to talking instead of fighting. Dan Hooker responded, "If only your dad pulled out quicker than your last fight. Glass hand, haha, glass house." Big words from both guys. Dan Hooker had a lot to say when Arman Tsarukyan pulled out of his fight against Islam Makhachev. So as soon as Dan Hooker pulled out of his fight, Arman had something to say. You know, these guys are in the same weight class. Dan Hooker and Arman Tsarukyan both need to come back in big ways. I think this will be a fun matchup. Guys, next up, Silva versus Bryce Mitchell is officially booked for UFC 314. Silva called out Bryce Mitchell at UFC Seattle after his huge win, and according to Dana White, Bryce Mitchell reached out immediately and said, "Give me that fight." Dana did not hesitate. Bryce Mitchell is in the headlines for making very, very controversial statements online. However, Dana says he promises he did not put a hit out on Bryce Mitchell. Bryce wanted this. Early prediction, Silva by round 1 knockout. TKO Group Holdings, which owns UFC and WWE, are making a deal with Saudi Arabia to launch a new boxing league in 2025. This is huge news. Dana has been talking about this for years and years. He thinks the boxing world is completely disorganized. Every event is a going out of sale event. There's too many divisions. There's too many belts. There's too many organizations. It looks like Saudi Arabia is going to fund the whole thing. UFC and WWE would run it with no financial investment. It sounds like Dana White and TKO pulled a deal of the century. These Saudi Arabians are willing to throw money. Guys, imagine a world where boxing is run exactly like the UFC. Jamahal versus Khalil Rountree Jr. set to headline UFC Kansas City in April. Man, Jamahal cannot get a break. This guy is going against the absolute cream of the crop. He got knocked out by Alex Pereira, knocked out by Yuri Prochazka, and now he's gonna have to fight a dog like Khalil Rountree Jr. Jamal's chin is just not there. It's a 5-round main event. Jamal's gas tank is not super great, but Khalil Rountree's gas tank is not great either. It's gonna be a firework fight for the first 3 rounds. Early predictions, I think Khalil Rountree's gonna get it. I think Khalil Rountree Jr. is gonna steal it in the early rounds. He won the first 3 rounds against Alex Pereira. I think he can do the same against Jamahal. If Jamal, however, can work on his cardio and take Khalil into deep waters, can he finish Khalil in rounds 4 and 5? Maybe. That's why this is such a great matchup. The UFC did a great job with this one. Super excited. Kansas City is getting a treat with this one. But anyways, guys, if you made it till the end of the video, please leave a like and subscribe for more UFC recap news to come tomorrow. And until then, peace!